Galair, and welcome to the Loaf of Bread GAA podcast, slicing into the GAA of the past, present and future. Join me, Jason Keelan, as we cut into the largest loaf of bread known to mankind.
Hello, Diegwich, bonjour, ni hao, konnichiwa, guten tag and privyet to you all wherever you're listening in. What started as a message to 10 clubs has now expanded to more than 50 clubs globally from all continents. The journey through Loaf 2 GAA Global continues this week as we move on to our next destination in the GAA world. So come with me on the GAA journey of a lifetime and meet clubs from Canada to Argentina, South Africa to Gibraltar, Bermuda to the North Pole, New Zealand to Kuwait, Knoxville to Qatar, and literally everywhere in between. So grab the passports, grab the bags, it's time to go. On Slice 32, I fly from the state of Tennessee in the US to the Southeast Asian wonder that is Thailand. And of course, who else would I meet but two former county players for Offaly and Westmeath. Niall and David, or Dude as is better known, bring me through the crack in Thailand GAA and beyond. We chat making CVs in internet cafes, teaching in Temple Oak, the conversation between the two lads before Dude came to Thailand, Offaly GAA growing and the parody account on Twitter, dual coding in tournaments in the heat, foreigners from Leitrim, hosting the Asian Games and the impact of South Africa Gales, fielding an all-Thai team, back-to-back Asian Games success, Boydu Saya's first game at Rosemount, doubling up tournaments in Malaysia with stag parties, the importance of John Campbell to Thailand GAA, Dude and the infamous jaw-breaking incident against Armagh, the pub named Father Ted, and the key questions like, what is the Thailand GAA iconic karaoke song, a good temple or a good mass, and the giant Buddha statue or the great Alan Buddha Mangan for Westmeath. And will we ever see a Phuket GAA team in the future? But first, as usual, let's check out the well-known city of Bangkok and the nation of Thailand. Bonsultas. The Kingdom of Thailand is located in the southeast region of Asia and is a neighbour of some of my favourite places in the world, Laos, Cambodia, Myanmar and Malaysia. The country has historically been known by many as Siam by people outside of Thailand. On the 24th of June 1939, the name Thailand was adopted on an official basis. It would become Siam for a brief period after World War II, but Thailand is what it is. Historical Thailand is home to the original sources of copper and bronze in Asia. The country has been part of several different rulings and empires, most famously perhaps the Khmer Empire in the early 9th century. Local lad, Pho Kun Bang Klang Hao, brought a gang to fight the Khmer and made himself the leader, technically making him the first leader of the Thai people. He is from one of the Bang Klang Hao family who hurled for Ballyhale. They're a different crowd. For many centuries the country has been fighting with neighbours, most of whom started the rows with them. The country also started to make deals with Western nations to avoid invasions and war, and to try and prosper themselves. Although many, including the Bowring Treaty, were very lopsided, they did bring about trading between the West and Thailand, and helped them grow while others around them stuttered. The Siamese rulers even joined the Allies in World War I, mostly out of fear that they would be punished if they stayed neutral. The pre-World War II government decided they wanted to become more westernised, anti-Chinese and anti-French. In the end, they were invaded by Japan during the war and made a deal with them where Japan would help Thailand regain lost lands. So what did Thailand do? They declared war on the USA and the UK. A solid idea by all accounts. What could possibly go wrong? After the war, Thailand made peace with the Allies. Actually, most of the Allies took so little notice of them, they didn't even know Thailand had declared a war on them. Since then, it's been mostly a mix of economic growth and decline, under various different government rulings. One of those leaders in the early 2000s is perhaps recognised by some sporting fans. Thaksin Shinawatra took over Man City in 2007 and appointed Sven-Göran Eriksson as manager. But the stint was brief, and after a year, Frank, as he was known by the fans, sold the club to the Abu Dhabi group. Sven-Göran Eriksson later said of Shinawatra, and I quote, "He hadn't a clue about football." In the end, he and his wife were wanted in Thailand for everything from spying to soft loans to illegal purchasing and fraud, right down to the inciting of rebellions. A nice fella by all accounts. In modern times, Thailand has tried to join in the activities of the bigger nations of the political world. They now send peacekeeping forces abroad and even joined in with the US on the Iraq invasion. Incredibly, Thailand also excels in the modern world of science and tech. For a country which is more than 50% rural and not considered among the wealthier nations, it produces some major works of note. The first major vaccine against dengue fever was produced in Thailand. The first treatment for HIV for poor nations was produced in the Thai labs, while the growing area of medical robotics sees the Thai research labs as being central. In fact, many of the robots we see used in Japan are designed and produced in Thailand. One other to note is the speed of broadband. Thailand's is the fastest in the world. Not the USA, Canada, Japan, Korea or any of the others. It is in fact Thailand with the fastest fixed broadband in the world. Tourism is of course the major aspect of Thai economy. The capital Bangkok offers everything any tourist could imagine. The reclining Buddha is perhaps the best known in the city. The 46-metre long lying statue of gold is a ridiculous sight to stand beside. Of course you can also get a Thai massage nearby too, because where else would you get it? The Grand Palace is also quite a spectacular sight, as is the amazing Wat Arungal Temple. Or if mental shopping is your thing, the Chatakuk market is quite a unique experience where haggling is something on a different level. Of course, without mentioning too much, the famous Bangkok nightlife and opportunities are pretty well known worldwide. Up north, many will be familiar with the amazing areas like Chiang Mai and Chiang Rai, which offer a different beautiful view of the jungle aspects of the country, and also locations for the shooting of the famous Rambo film. Then you also have the likes of the eastern city of Pattaya, which is home of resorts, hotels and partying. Something of an attraction in itself is food. Thai food is up there with the greatest in the world. Street food is common and usually very decent. Durian is a fruit which you see regularly on the streets or on signs saying do not bring it with you, mostly because it smells like shite. Standard Thai dishes actually take the Chinese influence of old, the Buddhist monks' Indian touch, the southern Muslim states, Portuguese explorer taste, and a little bit of Japanese to make their own unique, incredible taste. Every region has their own unique ideas, whether it's the Kang Hang Lee pork curry of the north, the Pad Thai dishes of the centre, or the Masamam of the south. The variety is just incredible. A little tip if you ever eat with Thai people: a small spoon of rice on its own before the meal is good manners, as is leaving a little on your plate to show the generosity of the hosts who have fed you. Of course you can't mention Thailand and not mention the islands. Koh Samui, Koh Phangan, Koh Tao, Koh Phi Phi, all names which are famous and synonymous with Thailand and the beach life. The famous full moon parties began in 1985 and run monthly ever since with huge crowds. If it's for you, then go for it. Sadly, extreme tourism has major downsides such as the closure of the iconic Maya Bay in recent years on Koh Phi Phi. This beach was home to one of the great scenes with Leonardo DiCaprio in the 2000 film The Beach. In sporting terms, the traditional Thai sports are very popular among not just the locals but worldwide. Thai boxing and incredibly kite fighting are very popular. Badminton, soccer, boxing, snooker, tennis, bowling and golf are widely played. The likes of modern day golfers Kiradek Affenbarnrat, Tongshai Jai and up and coming Jazz Janawatanand are the big names, while on the female side, Araya Jatungaran is a multiple major winner. And then there is Thailand GAA. Founded in 2007 by Derry native John Campbell, the club has come from a very modest beginning to now regularly fielding at least 2 men's and women's teams in tournaments, as well as a hurling team. They say themselves they've been punching above their weight to compete with the biggest and best of Asia in recent years, competing in senior football in men's and women's and senior hurling at the most recent Asian Gaelic Games in Kuala Lumpur. They're a very proud multinational club, with players hailing from places such as Thailand, the USA, Australia, Canada, the UK, Italy, Spain and even Lebanon and Japan, to mention a few. The club's emergence as a force in the Asian football began with the girls winning the Asian Gaelic Games Junior in 2012 and 13. That same team had only 2 Irish girls, and then ended up being runners-up in the intermediate in 2014. They then secured the club's first senior trophy when they won the South Asian Games Cup in Bangkok in 2015. In the same year, the men's team won their first trophy with the South Asian Games plate. 2016 saw the men make their first senior final appearance at the South Asian Games in Bangkok, sadly losing out to Singapore. But on and off the field, the club continues to be one of the favourite teams in Asia. whether it's the annual 12 pubs or the good social scene out in Bangkok, or whether it's on the pitch in the hosting of the likes of the Thailand Invitational. And so let's meet the two men who are going to bring us through the life of the Thailand GAA player, former Offaly player and Douro GAA man Niall Geraghty, and former Westmeath star and Rosemount GAA man David Dude McCormack.
Niall, how are things?
Hey Jason, how are things?
Not too bad, how are we getting on?
Very good. Let me just see, can I connect my headphones here first for a second?
No bother. There's a man wearing the wrong jersey anyway down the bottom here. That's not Westmeath jersey.
Oh yeah.
Back David,
How are you getting on? I'm all right.
But where's the Westmeath jersey? You have the wrong one on you.
It's in the wash. And the rose-up one.
Fair enough. Yeah, that's all right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Niall, you have the wrong one on as well, although you can be forgiven for not putting on a Douro jersey in fairness. So.
Well, who knows what I'll get to wear in the future. Number 35 on the back. But...
Oh, sure. At least it's at least a number anyway. So, what's the crack out in Thailand? How are you getting on?
Oh, good. Yeah.
And what brought you out, Niall, to Thailand in the first place?
A friend of mine. Well, I went traveling for a year, and I was kind of still on the road, and I was in Central and South America traveling all around there for around 9 months. A friend of mine who I know from Dublin, he's a teacher as well, and he had moved out to Thailand, and he was just always on to me, come and give it a year. There's jobs going in international school. So I got into the same school as I didn't really think about it for a long time. He was kind of annoying me for a long time. Did you do your CV? Did you do this? And I hadn't done a CV in 6 years because I taught in the same school in Dublin, or 5 years. I taught in the same school in Dublin for 6 years before that. So I eventually got one together in an internet cafe, and then before I knew it, the week after, I was being interviewed for a job, and I was like, I don't know if I even want this job now. And you have to sign a 2-year contract. I was like, dude, this is a big kind of a commitment now. But he said, come out and give it a year. If you don't like it, you leave. So here I am 5 years later.
I didn't think internet cafes still existed, to be honest.
Yeah. Well, they still do. When you don't have a computer, I went traveling, I did my Skype interview on a broken screen iPhone in a hostel in Nicaragua. Your man in the hostel said, I'll leave the door. He goes, I'll make sure no one comes into that room while you're doing the interview. So I hadn't even a shirt. I had a polo shirt that I could wear. And then suddenly I was being offered a job, and I was, getting ready to do the Inca Trail and going, hold on, you have a job being offered here in an international. I didn't even really, when I got into teaching, I never considered it as something that you do to do around the world.
Yeah.
That word didn't really occur to me at the time. But then, a friend got on to me, and, it would have never crossed my mind. That's something I knew I always kind of wanted to travel, and never, not that I never did, but all my friends were teachers and would make the most of holidays. But I suppose when you're playing GAA, your summer is, you're kind of tied down if you want to commit to your club. So I said I'd save money and do a year and kind of get all the traveling done. But I did that, and then I went off again.
Where were you teaching in Dublin?
In Temple Ogue, a school called Bishop Galvin. It'd be St. Jude's would be the local club there, and they're well involved in the GAA.
That's primary, isn't it?
Primary, yeah. So I was primary teacher
myself,
there. Yeah, so but like I said, never thought primary teaching would be something that would take me around the world. But
it's funny, one of the lads here in Mullingar actually was teaching in Thailand as well. He was teaching in Pattaya or Patti or whatever it's called.
Pattaya.
She hates it. Yeah, he's
done much teaching down there.
Yeah. He's a Downs man because both of us very unsuccessfully played for the Downs years ago. But he was actually not too bad. I was there for the crack more than anything else. So he ended up he was in Dublin. He was on Movie Road, and then he went to Cairo. And then the Arab Spring Rising started, so he had to leave. And then he ended up in Pattaya, and then he left there. Now he's in Moscow. He's actually part of the new Seamus Heaney's GAA club out there. So it's so
That's a fair journey.
You mightn't be in Thailand for too long. I could see you setting up a GAA club now somewhere else around the world. So that's gas, yes. And David, what brought you out? I was trying to make sure I had in my head I was going Westmeath, it's about 2015, 2016, and then someone said to me it's 2014, 2015. Would that be right? Westmeath time?
Yeah. That was the last year I played. the year they got to the Leinster, I left after the league. So
Right.
the year before would have been for my last full year with them. But me and my girlfriend decided I did a year teaching in Moat, and we decided we'd go traveling Asia, but we weren't really sure where we would end up. We kind of had a route planned, and Thailand was on the way. Maybe stopped 2 or 3, but I had considered Vietnam. Was probably where we were going to end up because we had a few friends there. But I just contacted Niall out of pure chance just to see what Bangkok was like, and I sent him a message on Instagram, and he read it. He was out blind one night, and he read it and forgot about it. My cousin Angus Clark was out traveling with Joey Boyle, and they bumped into Niall in Bangkok, and Angus said to him, I think David is thinking of coming out this part of the world. I said, I'm not sure if it's Bangkok. He hasn't his mind really made up, and Niall went, oh Jesus, I never replied to this lad. So he got the background details. He's on about a CV. He searched mine top and thin, and then he replied and said, look, don't go any further than Bangkok. So me and Caitlin, literally, we were going to book our flights the following morning to Hanoi and travel there for a while, and then in the space of about 2 hours we were going to Bangkok. So we had a going away party the following weekend, and everyone was saying good luck in Vietnam. We were saying we're actually going to Bangkok now. So I was only supposed to be here for a while, and then it's just into my second year here too.
Yeah, and are you teaching as well?
So, I'm actually in the same school as Niall, but I'm secondary qualified. I'm English and Geography. So
okay.
So I did my masters in NUIG in Galway, but like you can teach if you have a master's, you're allowed to teach in a primary school here. So it's nice. It's a nice break from the abuse you get off 17 and 18-year-olds.
You can still get plenty of abuse off 10, 11 and 12-year-olds.
You do all right.
Yeah. And where were you teaching in Ireland before you came out?
Moat. So I did my training in Kilbeggan. I did a year Moat. I had planned on taking a year out and coming back and kind of taking up a position there, but one thing led to another, and yeah,
the last Kilbeggan Shamrocks person that came on this podcast left a fair impression. All right, Mairead McCormack left some impression on the humans of the world after she went off this. So I'd be expecting something similar now from anyone who goes through Kilbeggan comes out with some strange sort of stories at the end of it. So I'll have to quiz you on a few. It's funny actually. I know you're a Rosemount man. I said to my brother, because my brother's Rocher Bridge. He probably doesn't like either of you, to be honest, because obviously he hates Rosemount, obviously. And then I was saying to Niall as well, 2017 when my brother kicked the winning score against Shandona to win the intermediate year. Even if he wasn't on the team, it was still one of the best games I was ever at. But then they met Durrow in the knockouts, and of course me and a few of the lads went down to Durrow for the crack. And my brother, like I said it to Niall, he tore them apart. Like I still said, I texted him this morning and I was like, what do you remember of the Durrow game? He just goes, I was class. There you go, so neither Durrow or Rosemount will be friends with my brother after this anyway, for sure. So Niall, you said you played with Anton as well. Anton and myself have kept in touch a bit.
Yeah, great game yesterday as well for Offaly and I don't know, he was whipped off after 50 minutes and he was flying. He kicked 3 points and he was covering every blade of grass. But yeah, a great character. Anton would be the same age as my brother, so they would have played minor together. But then I played a year of under 21 with Anton, and then 2 years we played together with Offaly seniors. So yeah, he's a great. When I was in with Offaly, he's a couple of years younger, but he still would have been a considerable leader within the team, just with. He's a great character, and he's just always in good form and great energy. And, he's just there's always a bit of crack with Anton. But when it comes to football, he's a serious football man, and he trains harder than anyone. He looks after himself. He's just a night. Like when he's on his day for football, he's a nightmare to mark, because he'll cover every blade of grass, but he'll kick a score and he'll be chatting a bit, and he'll be winding the other lad up, and he's just he's one of those lads that you hate to play against, but you love to have him on your team.
Yeah, I suppose it's that defence forces background that he has with himself and the brother as well that probably makes him the leader as well. Probably kill you as well.
Yeah, he's Anton is not. He'll take on most lads. He's not shy, and he's like I said, he's a brilliant player to have in your team, and one of those lads that really gets into the opposition and really pushes things, which is why Road have been so successful. There's so many players like that, and they push on Offaly, and it's good to see Offaly kind of closing out games better than they have been. I listened to the podcast you had with Anton, and they talked about like how they were so close last year and the year before, and against Meath and against Kildare, games that really they should have won probably but didn't. And it's good to see them winning those games now rather than kind of looking at them after and saying, we had this opportunity, we let it slip. It's good to see them closing out those games now, and Division 3 semi-final on the cards, and they're in with a good shout. So you'd like to see them progress. It'd be huge for Offaly to be playing Division 2 football, and just there's a huge amount of young lads on that team as well. There's obviously a few lads who are older and have been there along the harder times. And Niall McNamee came in and kicked a few great scores yesterday as well. To have
it's a freak how that man is still going. My God.
And you have some nightmare to be a defender now, and you're after putting in 60 minutes of hard slog, and then Niall McNamee comes in. I'd feel like, imagine playing in Croke Park. Imagine playing in Croke Park for 50 minutes and chasing some lad, and next thing Kevin McMenamin comes in. And these must be nightmare situations. They always say it about rugby players. They always bring in props, and this lads come in and they just clean up for 20 minutes. It's such an important part of the game now to have subs that can come in and finish out a game, because when people are tired, that's when mistakes start to be made. And to have good players, you need I know it's kind of a cliche, people say it, but it's so true that you need a panel to win any championship, whether that's club or county, whatever it is. If you don't have lads who can come in, and your subs need to improve what's there, they don't just need to keep things going, they need to make it better. So you can see that happening at the minute with Offaly. They're trialing out a lot of lads, giving a lot of young lads runs. You'd like to, you'd hope that it transfers into championship now, or you hope that they finish the job, and if they win the semi-final, whatever happens in the final, you're promoted to Division 2 anyway. But if they can push that on into the championship, it'll be massive.
Yeah, hopefully by the time this airs as well, it'll be looking at an successful Offaly team, definitely of the modern day. I know the Offaly Twitter page, whoever's running at the moment, the other day put up a thing. Sorry, we haven't been tweeting in a while. We're winning in hurling and football. We're not really used to this. We're not sure what to say. So,
so there's two. There's one official Offaly GAA, and then there's one called Offaly County Board, which is some lad who just puts up tweets like that. A few people have mistaken it to not be a parody account in the past, but it's
I hope
it's gas. Some of the stuff that goes on it. No, that one was the parody one, but
okay.
It'd be some crack up to start putting it up on the official too.
That would be brilliant. Oh, geez, I'd love that. Yeah.
Maybe they should get them to take over. It'd be like Bray Wanderers account where they're putting up that we're announcing we're not in the Europa League.
Or the Super League,
the European Super League.
Yeah, that was brilliant.
Maybe it'll build up the brand, as they say.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, well, you've Shane Lowry aboard now as well. You've a good way of building up a brand at the moment, anyway, with the underage, anyway. So he's going to be a big addition to things. So what about on the Thailand side of things? I'm going to have to refer to you as Dude, because everyone in this county and surrounding counties only knows that name. They're like, Dave McCormick, I know that lad. So what's the crack in Thailand then, Dude, with the numbers and membership? What's it like for you out there?
Well, we have good numbers. Probably a lot smaller in comparison to other Asian clubs. Like Singapore they bring 3 and 4 teams to a competition, and like we would just have enough for 2, I'd say. But hold our own. Like the standard's a lot higher than I thought it was going to be when I came out. I was only out here not long, and then we played the Asian Gaelic games, and it's a rude awakening now, because we hurling and football in the one day. I think we have something like 11 games now on the Saturday, and then qualified for semi-final in the hurling on the Sunday, and then the knockout stages on the Sunday for the football as well. And like, I remember waking up in agony at like 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, just so sore after the day. I was thinking, why did I come over here? Like, I was thinking, how am I going to go out of bed? And never mind playing like 4 more games tomorrow. But you kind of get used to it. The heat is cruel too, I have to say.
Yeah, I do remember that.
It's
out
rough.
there,
trying to catch your breath, and like lads hopping off you then, and it's just it's hard going. But the club is great. Like so regards Irish people, there is a strong contingent of Irish people, but we have a lot of other nationalities too. Like we have Canadians, we have Americans, there's other people from Europe and Leitrim people and stuff. You know, a lot of foreign people playing. But
I teach with a Leitrim footballer as well. I'll mention that to him. Yeah.
But it's great. Like the club is absolutely fantastic, and you know, there's a great social aspect to it too, which is very Irish to it. But it's mighty. It's great out here, and like I didn't think I'd bump into an Offaly lad out here, let alone anyone else that'd be Irish. But no, it's absolutely fantastic. It's great to be involved in, and I don't think people at home realise like just what Gaelic means to people when you do get across the border and or when you leave. But like speaking to our Canadian friends who we work with and they play with, it's like when you speak to those and they realise how welcoming we are as like a nation and letting them play Gaelic, and they just think it's the best sport in the world. I think it's more so because of the social side of things. I think it's great because we have an outing every Friday, Saturday night, but they really do enjoy the football side of things. Yeah. But no, like it's fantastic. It has been mighty the last 2 years, and I probably wouldn't be here still if it wasn't for the Gaelic, to be honest. But it's outrageous. It's great.
Yeah, I've got that from a lot of teams, alright, because like part of the reason setting this up was like no more than yourselves to travel, like getting to go to, you know, in my life being a teacher, I suppose getting to go to like nearly 100 countries, seeing the GAA stuff that goes on, and that was kind of part of the reason that like the work that goes on in your clubs is as good as any club or county here, but yet gets zero recognition really, other than like funding from the GAA maybe. So that was kind of part of the reason for it. You haven't uncovered the next John Heslin or Niall McNamee out in Bangkok, have you?
No. Joe Dolan of a Friday night or a Saturday night in the pub, all right, but I don't know about football. Or
I said a statue in the market square or an actual Badu community.
I tell you, they'd run riot if they get out there. But no, but the standard is very high. I have to say, like when you come competition time, you know, there'd be great individual players and stuff, but like a team, it's really tactical. Like Seoul were fantastic. Like Niall's played them a lot more than I have, but they're just impossible to break down. They're almost like a Donegal, you know. And when you have our 11 aside, they just open your eyes to like running a sub on or running a sub off. Whereas like myself and Niall would nearly stay home for the entire game, which come the end of it, you wouldn't be able to talk, you know. Whereas they're just constantly fresh. So I suppose our first Asian games here, it was an eye opener, but they've had probably a bigger catchment, an Irish catchment in Seoul than we would here in Bangkok. But like, I suppose it's not all about winning then either, but it is nice to win when you're involved.
Yeah,
like, it's frustrating being bet and stuff, but
I can imagine. No, the Seoul is a big one. All right, I remember being out there and it was there was a few Irish knocking about. All right, I remember seeing a few of them. You see the odd Gaelic jersey going around Seoul as well, which is sort of what you
mad too, isn't it?
I know it's mentally. I expect it everywhere now, though. Really. So you mentioned the Asian Games. Niall, you've been there a bit longer. I had South Africa GA on yesterday, and they talked very highly about Thailand 2016 as their tour. They said it was Luanda is from Johannesburg. He's a South African man himself. He talked very highly about it. Now he talked about his other favorite moment, which was playing in the wind in Clare Island. But he said Thailand was his next favorite. So.
They're two very different experiences now. But yeah, they were out. I think we hosted. I think in 2017 and 2018, we hosted the Asian Games. And, you know, it's a massive operation. South Africa were on that, and they made a huge impression. Especially 2018, I think they won the junior men's football, and they competed really highly in the women's as well. But they just brought so much energy, and you know, to have all native players is an outrageous achievement. And, you know, they were all incredible athletes to start with, but to turn them to footballers, you know, they beat our second team, our men's team in the final. And it was like torrential rain just before. They had to kind of clear water off the pitch and let it dry for a bit. But they were a fair team, you know. I think they'd hold their own in probably when it comes to the seniors, I suppose. The lads have, you know, it's 9-a-side as well, which you have to remember is a very different game, and it's very tactical, as Dude said there. You know, there's a lot about it's a bit like, you know, when you watch Sevens rugby, you have to kind of just hold, and then when the opportunity presents, you break. So, you know, your rotations are very important, and they just had athletes that could run all day, and they bring someone else on, and they're just our lads were decent footballers, but I suppose our junior, our second team, to be a lot of them there for the social element as well, the same as any kind of second team in a club. And there wasn't too many beer bellies on show for the South African lads, so that kind of caught up with them in the end. But yeah, it's class. I mean, that's one of the best things to see about Gaelic football in Asia and around the world, is to see non-Irish people playing. I mean, we've the Asian Games, you have 800 players from all over Asia and the world playing in it. But I'd say, I don't know what the exact numbers are, but there must be close to half of them are not Irish as well. I mean, in our club, we've a huge amount, particularly our women's team. The girls. And we've about close to 80 members this year, which is huge. Wow. Between men and women. Now, some of them aren't playing members, some of them are social, but we had the guts of 50 people went on a tour there in April, just before this lockdown started, and we just played our own tournament down there, or in Kanchanaburi, which is just a couple of hours north of Bangkok.
I think I was there.
It's absolutely, but to have, especially the girls team, most of them were new to it. We had a big kind of, I suppose, fortunate that a lot of the indoor sports in Bangkok, or with COVID, had all stopped. So there was a lot of girls who played netball, which is huge in Australia and New Zealand and the UK. And then some of our girls played netball as well. And then when that stopped, a lot of them were like, come over and join the Gaelic for a while. And they've all kind of stuck with us now. So like, you can see in Australia with the AFL and the women's AFL, they're really targeting athletes more than anything to start playing. And they're all transferable skills. So like a lot of the women's AFL, they pluck a lot for netball and basketball and stuff like that. And you can see really here that if people can play soccer, or they can play basketball, or they play rugby, you can learn the skills of Gaelic football and get involved, and there will be a place for you. We've had players even in our senior team in the past. We've an Aussie lad who came from Aussie Rules. He plays on our senior panel. Right. He'd be captain of the Aussie Rules club here. He's a serious footballer, David Shields. And then we have had a lad from Liverpool starting on our senior team in the past as well, who was just a PE teacher, brilliant athlete, soccer player, now a marathon runner. He's just one of these fellas that could do anything, but a nightmare to mark. But played to his strengths as well. He wasn't one of these lads who was going on a run up the field or trying to give the long pass. He was just terrorizing forwards, winning the ball back, handing it off, doing the simple things right. And like I said, it's the most valuable thing as someone who is Irish to be playing, seeing non-Irish people playing your game and being involved with coaching them. And we had a fully Thai team in 2017, the first year we hosted the games. We put together a fully Thai team. So there was one of the lads here, he worked for a company called DKSH, and they were a big distribution company. And a lot of his workers were soccer players. And he decided if he could get them out and kind of worked for them, if they could come in and do this on the Saturday, like for the next couple of hours, that, I would coach them. I went out and gave them a few sessions. And, we were on it made the Irish Times website that time as well. But it's brilliant to give exposure, because there'd be a lot of people who'd be like, wouldn't know, like what you were saying, they wouldn't know that GAA exists in any of these parts of the world. I brought my father out in 2018, and it was Dude's first tournament as well. And just for him to see, like, he couldn't, sometimes people at home don't understand why you're living in Thailand or why you're living anywhere else. And then when you come to something like the Asian Games and there's 800 people and everyone from any other club knows you from playing against them before, and there's great, obviously it's savagely competitive, but when it's all over, you have a drink together and you have a bit of crack and you talk to people from all different clubs. And, it was amazing for my father to see, now I can see why that community, or why you are here. And that, I wouldn't be here as long if the GAA wasn't as good, if you didn't have as many friends. There's no way you'd be staying on so long in the country, because, it's such a, same as yourself and Dude as well. The GAA be a massive part of our lives, and if it's not there, you wouldn't be long about. That's the one thing you'd miss most from home is playing with your club and stuff like that. Yeah,
it's a huge community thing. It's no more than like Durrow or playing Tullamore or someone, or Rosemount taking on like St. Joseph's out in Streamstown or someone. Like there's that local
feel to it as well, kind of, which it's come across a lot for me. I didn't realize I knew it was strong enough from traveling, but I didn't realize how strong it was until like some of the clubs came on, and like the rivalry is nearly like Dublin versus Kerry kind of intensity. Like, you know, on the pitch they bait the shit out of each other, and then off it, like, you know, best of friends. So
we know.
yeah, who would your kind of rivals then? I suppose, have you got like a club scene in Thailand, or is it just Thailand GA and then you wait for the games and the tours? Or
Yeah, it's just kind of us for now, and we you know, to kind of keep things ticking over. We play the Aussie rules clubs here sometimes, and we mix with that, but we rely on tournaments, and that's why with COVID, international travel is off the cards, and that's been a killer. You know, we haven't had any real tournaments since 2019. November 2019, we played the Asian Games in Kuala Lumpur, and then there was no Asian Games last year. There'd usually be a South Asian Games in May, and that was called off. We managed to get away to Manila last and played a tournament over there, but there was, you know, football was nearly a distraction from the drinking that went on that weekend. I think it was.
It's always raining in Manila. Did it actually, was the weather any good in Manila? Because I know when I landed there, it was like, oh Jesus Christ, the water was coming into the airport.
We were blessed. We were blessed the time we were there. It was. I suppose it depends. You know, we went at the time of the year that we knew it'd be a good thing. But that was kind of a one-off. Just they invited us over to play, so it was less kind of serious. But when it comes to like the South Asian Games and the Asian Games, if you're playing senior, you know, you're treated with respect, and you want to, you know, you want to be prepared, and you want to train well, and you want to eat and you know, get everything right coming up to it, because it's only a one-day tournament. The Asian Games is a 2-day tournament. They're only twice a year, and you know, you want to try your best and do it right. And we were lucky; we had a bit of success in the South Asian Games. We won 2 in a row, 2017 and 2018, or no, 2016 and 17. And yeah, it's nice to get some success, because there's kind of a smaller club when you're playing against Singapore, and these ones, the smaller tournaments are a bit, you know, not an easier target, but it was a massive step for Thailand. They hadn't won a senior tournament before, you know, but the women have made huge strides as well. They were in the last South Asian Games we played. They got to the final as well and lost to Orang Era from Malaysia, the Kuala Lumpur based team. So, and once again, there would have been only less than half of the team was Irish. There might be only 3 or 4 Irish on the team out of their panel of 12.
Yeah. Jesus, that's pretty impressive, like, isn't it? 20.
Yeah, very impressive. Yeah,
because I wasn't expecting, honestly. Like when I Thailand, I was like, okay, I know, dude, I know Niall. I've read about it and all that, but I was like, I don't expect, like, even there's a little quick fire round at the end where it's like, you know, 50-50 stupid questions between Ireland and Thailand, your choices. And normally there's like, you know, famous Thai people versus famous Irish people. I was like, who the fuck is famous in Thailand? Like, you know, sports stars, why? They're not exactly like, it's not like, you know, the Lionel Messi of Thailand is an easy person to come across. So like, yeah, it's mad that there is so many Thai on your team. I think that's absolutely it's absolutely savage. But dude, I have to ask, I suppose, since you mentioned the social side of things, is there an Irish pub that you've got on board sponsoring and all that, or?
Yeah, we have 2. We have Shenanigans and O'Shea's,
great names,
our 2 main sponsors. So they're both kind of other sides of the city, but they're huge sponsors for us, and they're great venues. You know, you could go in and you could meet anyone from any part of the world, but they show every type of sports game. They're big, you know, and if like in a lockdown such as this, you could still snake a pint upstairs, you know, out of the way. This is going out in Ireland, so if it goes out in Thailand, we're good. But
it'll be months away. It's fine. It's a good few months. It'll be fine.
But no, they're mighty, and like the people that run them they're incredible, and they do a lot for the club. But there has been other ones in the past. Yeah, well, you can link it up yourself from your phone or your own account. But they show everything. Like, there's a lot of Celtic supporters go there. That's their support. That's their club or pub to drink it and stuff. So. There has been other ones down through the years that I hear when we're out drinking, but I've never been. So Niall would know more of those.
I wouldn't go to the pub too often.
No, we're not long over.
We've had some that have, you know, changed ownership over the year, and it kind of depends on who's running the pubs and who their interest in GA, because you know yourself, around the world there's Irish pubs, and then there's Irish pubs who are pretending to be Irish because they'll sell a few drinks, but these are genuine interested in sport or interested in supporting the GAA, and I think they also value what we bring to them, because if we can have a quiz night, or we have an awards night, and we have it in their pub, or we offer our members a discount at their pub, it brings a huge amount of people in, and a huge amount of their friends as well. They're proper pubs as well. They're good places that you'll want to go on a Saturday night, and you can actually get a decent pint of Guinness if that's what you're after, and you'll get your fry up for the cure the next morning and all those things. But they do make a difference when you're at home. I remember when I landed first here, and Jared Agnew, my friend from Leitrim, who was kind of responsible for me coming here, and he goes, we went out the first weekend. You land, the worst thing you can do when you're jet lagged and you're supposed to be starting your induction for teaching on the Monday morning, but out till all hours. And he rings me the next morning. He goes, do you want a full Irish? He goes, are you looking for a full Irish fry up, or do you want to go for Sunday roast? And I was like, are you joking? And he was like, this is 100% not a joke. I need your answer in the next 10 minutes, because I'm coming to pick you up. So off we went. You'll miss some things about home, but there's very little you can't get out here. And even the supermarkets and stuff, you'll see the Irish products in some time. You see, Villa Market is an expat supermarket here, and they sell like Cadbury snack bars, and they sell like, the odd time you see Tato crisps in one of the supermarkets and things like that. So there's not much you can't get, but I suppose there's nothing really like being home, to be surrounded by family and stuff like that. With COVID, none of us have really been home. The last time people have been home was, say, Christmas before last, and that's a huge,
almost 2 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
And do you get to keep up then with Rosemount and how things are going back home?
So Andy is still in the mix there, but like I would have had planned, I wanted to go home last summer to play, but that was kind of put to one side with COVID. And Ian Bradley is the manager now, he's from Rochester Bridge, so I'm in contact with him.
My brother's
quite a bit.
He was my brother's manager till last season.
Was he?
Yeah.
See, I didn't know him until he took over the Rosemount job, and then he rang and he was kind of sussing me out. Now he's not putting on any pressure to be home, but I had planned on getting home this summer for a couple of weeks, but it's so hard to know now what you're able to do. And I think it's more easy to go back to Ireland, but coming back into Thailand, there's a lot more restrictions now with quarantine. You have to buy a certain type of insurance up until your next visa extension and stuff like that. So, I'd still love to get home for the summer for a couple of weeks, but I think it's not looking likely at the moment. But like, Ian's not putting too much pressure.
Yeah, you're watching Boydu just take lads in his back pocket, are you?
Yeah.
He still has my cousin somewhere in his back pocket. My cousin is Darren Doherty. He plays at Longford, and we slag my cousin all the time. I said the last time Longford played Westmeath, said, have you got out of Boydu's back pocket yet, or when are you coming out?
I tell you, he's a fairly big pocket now. He's gathering a good few inter-county footballers.
He is, yeah.
He's quality, and like, he's very professional the way he organises himself, and just the transition from like his first game, I'll never forget it. He was under 8s and he came down, and I was standing on the sideline watching him, and he was watching soccer his whole life, Yeah. And he wasn't able to speak English, but like, we were so welcoming in Rosemount, and we chucked him in. But like, I would have had seen him at school, but I wouldn't have known like the background story. But I think they were playing Moat, and Disgusting got the ball, but Boydu came and just like flew through the air and took him clean out with a slide tackle. So he was so used to watching soccer, and he absolutely flipped this Gostin, but like the whole place stopped. They were like, what's going on here? Does he not know how to play? And then a couple of years later, he's like waltzing up Crow Park. He's another freak too. He's outrageous. He's great.
Yeah. Is Ian Bradley got any inside tips for Rosemount that I can pass on to the Rochester Bridge lads, just while you're mentioning it?
I don't know.
Rather to get shot next time he goes home.
Yeah, I know Ian Bradley's tactical masterclass inside out now after watching him with Rochester Bridge since my brother started years ago. So, that'd be an interesting battle if he came up against Rochester Bridge at some stage. I'd love to see that one happen.
Hopefully he can bring something fresh to the table. So he seems very professional. I have to say, I was very impressed with him when I was talking to him on the phone and stuff. No, he's lovely. And like I said, he wasn't putting any pressure on, but he was, putting the feelers out for jobs and stuff at home. Like, I kind of knew myself that I wouldn't be going home permanently this year, but I didn't necessarily let on, but he had made contact with other people that were saying, yeah, look, we can give him an interview and stuff. So I had to tell him then that I'm probably here for another year or so. But like, just a top guy from a couple of conversations I had with him. Now he sent on a couple of running programs that near killed me, but
he'd do that apparently, yeah.
yeah, but laugh about it then. So he seemed to bring in a good, like, there's Rosemount lads there as well that know the club, but he'd know Rosemount in and out now, I'd say, after watching us down throughout the years.
Yeah, if you're not married yet either as well, by the way, his wife owns a good jewellery shop here in town, so you know you have to get the discount, and the fact he's a guard as well. I'm sure there's a guard discount in there as well. So yeah, you'll have to make sure
Niall.
you get in there.
Niall's not too far away from Buckland now, so he'll a guard there, Niall, when you get home.
Niall is a dodgy knee, have you?
Dudes must be under a bit of pressure too as well, let's say. After doing the
I'm
cushion
under
years
pressure,
ago
my
as well,
knees
it's
are
one of
strong.
buckles.
Niall, do you get to follow Duro when you're out there then, or?
Yeah, I mean, you don't miss a whole lot now with the kind of social media and everything. You can follow every Duro match. You know, they tweet the scores, and you nearly follow every score. And you know, it's about last year with some of the club matches, you could watch them with I suppose one good thing that came out of COVID was that you could watch games. People, you know, county started streaming club games, which is huge when supporters couldn't go. And now that facility still seems to be there, even if supporters, hopefully they'll keep that up, especially the ones where it's easier to do in O'Connor Park and stuff like that. But yeah, sometimes, you know, I'd be talking to my father and I'd be like, oh, I see that such a thing happened, or they won the minor by 4 points, and he'd be nearly like, how do you know that before me?
You're living on a different planet to him, yeah.
Yeah, and so yeah, with that kind of way, you don't miss too much of what's going on, but I suppose you miss being part of it. Like, dude, I wanted to get home last summer and play football, but COVID had other plans. You know, it just wasn't a runner. You know, we'd only 5 or 6 weeks summer holidays here, and you would have had to spend a few of those in quarantine if you could get a flight. You know, with the borders when they shut down initially, you couldn't even get flights out or in, and they had, you know, people who did leave to kind of go home for family emergencies. Took them a long time to get back in. So yeah, you massively miss being part of the club. Like, I played with the county for a couple of years, but you miss the club more because they're the lads you know since you're a kid, and they're the lads that you train with most often, and the ones that you play with and, you know, you're regularly playing with. And to kind of miss out on that, and especially, you know, when they're doing so well and you've kind of, the years kind of fly past and you realize, God, you know, you'd love to get back for some of that. So you kind of, you keep up with everything, but you're not directly involved. And it's strange, you know, a dude will tell you the same. I'd say when you're looking on at Duro playing or Rosemount playing and you haven't been involved at all, you know, it's a strange place to be, you know, especially in 2017, the year that they met Rochbridge when they won the county title that time. You know, I hadn't been involved at all that summer. I'd gone away to the Lions Tour in New Zealand and for the summer holidays, so I didn't go home. Yeah, but you miss out on you know, something big happening, and you're following a match on Twitter, and it's just a bit strange to be so disconnected. But, you know, you'd love to still get involved when you go home, or hopefully, you know, play and see if you can get the Duro jersey on again, because, you know, I'd still love to do that.
Yeah. And do you remember, while you're talking the club, do you remember your debut for Thailand?
Yeah, we went to Malaysia I was here about a month, and we went to Malaysia. They had us over for just a tournament against them. But, you know, like that, those invitational ones tend to be a bit more about getting two clubs together and having a bit of crack. And it also, you know, it doubled up as our kind of club captain at the time, Michael Neary, was his stag party. So we played a match on the Saturday, and then we went straight after. It was actually Dublin. We're playing Mayo. He was the Mayo man, and that was the replay of the All-Ireland final was on. And so it was on the Saturday night as well. So we had that, and you know, a great weekend. Maybe not if you were from Mayo, but yeah, that was my first match. And I suppose the lads are like, because the Malaysian team at the time were had lost some of their best players, and we didn't know what sort of team. They had a lot of older lads out, and great club that they are, and great friends of ours in Thailand. But the lads were like, to me and some of the other lads were like, take it handy here, because we're going to be playing these in the Asian Games in November, and they're kind of like, don't show your full hand, but sure, we kind of went out full throttle, and we'd kind of buried the match by, I think we played quarters. By the quarter time, it was nearly all over. Like, so much for not showing your full hand. I remember.
What sort of position would you play then? I know if it's 9 or 11 aside, is it positional as such?
Yeah, midfielder and the forwards. It's still very, you'd still have your key positions of, it's 3 backs, 2 midfield and 3 forwards. Yeah. But myself and Dude would kind of rotate in and out between midfield and forward. There's another, we'd kind of try and switch that up because there's a lot of tactics in it. Depends on the team you're playing against, whether you're trying to run it up through the middle or whether you're trying to put that long ball. We're both quite tall, and you play against some teams where that is a massive advantage. But it's you can't just kick it away. The possession is so valuable in 9-a-side. If you give it away, you mightn't get back for a few minutes with the way teams can kind of pass it over and back until it opens. So yeah, sometimes can be frustrating when you're in the wrong side of that and you're chasing tail a bit because I suppose where we've kind of slipped in some of the tournaments is we've had a good solid team, but having 12 lads who have played football all their lives makes a big difference to if you've 7 or 8 and then other lads who've kind of come from other sport or haven't played GAA, because a lot of people will just join the GAA in these countries just for a community, and they mightn't have played since they were in school if they played at all. So if we could kind of pick up a few players or do, like some clubs do really well with youth coaching, and they've managed to get like from the GAA games development officer over, and sure, if you can get that combined with someone who's good at football and plays for you as well, it's a massive thing. But we could do it so at times we could do it a few more footballers, a few less drinkers, but there's plenty of lads who can do both. Dual stars.
Dual stars, exactly. Do you remember your debut for the Thailand lads?
I do. It was the Asian Gaelic Games on Saturday, and I thought if there was a bus to Rosemont, I'd be on it the next morning. I was like, get me out of here. I was so sore, and I was just But our first game was against Beijing, I think it could have been, and like thinking only 3 or 4 weeks ago, my last game was actually a semi-final with Castletown, and like you'd be at the height of your fitness for that year, would have looked after myself relatively well when we got here for the 3 weeks or a little bit longer. And during the first game, I just couldn't believe the standard. I was thinking, I'm after codding myself here. I don't know what I was thinking for the last couple of hours. And then, but like Niall said, that long ball in, it's very hard to get it right because there's just so many tactics and variables against different teams. So if you do leave one lad up front, say that day it was me, if it's a long ball in for Niall or whoever else, it's a long run from that ball in to help a lad out, and a lot can go wrong in the space for a few seconds. But the standard is quite good. And like Niall said, if you had just a couple more Irish lads who just maybe composure and stuff on the ball, or who are just a bit more streetwise when it comes to GAA and Gaelic games, it does go a long way. But then the lads that we do have that, wouldn't have played Gaelic their entire lives are doing Trojan work for us, like you couldn't fault them. But like the panel we have is great for the small numbers that we do have in Bangkok. Like you'd be competing fairly well. But I just think it's going from strength to strength, Asian Games. Like the comparison between my first year and the KL, like the standard went up again, which I didn't think it could, but it really did. And like you do have to mind yourself. Me and Niall are only talking here recently, but there's nothing going on. There's no tournaments around, so you kind of you don't mind eating that pizza or having those few bites, or but like if you had something to aim for, if the Gaelic Games is coming up in like a month or 2 months, you'd slack off big time on the social side of things, and because like competitive by nature and at home, although winning is not everything, you do like to win, but you try and get yourselves right. But like the likes of Singapore and those lads they do have a big community, and like they're all either physios or something, so they don't
they don't eat the pizza.
Other lads. No, but no. So that was my memory of my first debut with the bike.
The growth in Thailand is massive as well. For us even to be talking about being disappointed when we're not competing at senior which we are. The last tournament was very disappointing for us because every other time, we've been competing against the best teams. You've had some good wins, had, a couple of losses, but you're still getting to a semi-final of the senior. But to be there compared to, I think when it started, it was just JC, John Campbell from Derry. He put his own time and sometimes money into it just to kind of keep the club going. And when it started, it was him and, a good few Americans, there were very few Irish, and just to get it off the ground. And, it very nearly fell flat after a couple of years, kind of probably him questioning himself, why am I putting so much into this? But he did, and he's still hugely involved. Like, he's just recently stepped down as chairman, but he's vice chairman and he's still involved. He's got family commitments and work commitments, so he can't commit as much as he used to. But, the club wouldn't exist without the likes of him. And to go from those very, very small beginnings to be competing at senior football, winning senior hurling Asian games and getting to the final of the last hurling Asian games, to be competing so well in the women's, and the women's teams really kind of kept the club going when it started first, because there was more numbers and they were kind of getting some success, and it was a long time before success came in the men. So it's about building it up. The next step for us is to kind of develop underage, and it still hasn't really happened yet. We just kind of need to get someone into, we're both teachers, but we're in a very small school that doesn't really, sport isn't high on the agenda for our school. It's very small. We don't have the facilities for it either. And to get into, someone within the club has to commit a lot of time to that kind of thing. And, it is time, and that's your most valuable thing that anyone has, is their time. And, I was just recently watching the Ballymun Kick'ems. There's a documentary about Paddy Christie and the Ballymun Kick'ems, and, he committed all his time to that. And, but there was a lot of years before they saw success. So, we kind of need to up our game compared to some of the other clubs in that now, and get young people starting to play. Even in, the Tigers here, the Aussie Rules team, we both play for them, and they have a great program. They kind of go into an underdeveloped area in Klong Toy in Bangkok. They take the young lads out every Saturday, but they also help out with giving them English lessons. They give them food, they got them gear and all that kind of stuff, and it gives
scholarships to school and stuff like that. It's
massive
great.
Things
really
for people who don't have privilege, to get them on a team and to bring that kind of thing in through sport is a class way of doing it. So if we can kind of, that's next on our radar for as a club here, is to get that off the ground, because if you want to not just compete but also just a future for the club, as Dude said, it's great to win stuff, but the club means so much more than that out here. And especially when you're abroad, having that kind of slice of home and have that community and a group of friends around you, you'll never be stuck for, we've seen it here. Something bad happens to people, the club are always there to help, or people need help. We're very supportive, and if people have got, we've supported people who have had bad injuries or stuff like that, or people who have got themselves in some sort of trouble, or we try and look after our own as best as we can. So if we can kind of build up for the future of the club with young people playing, that's going to be a big help.
I won't ask what kind of trouble the 2E have caused. I'll leave that for separate podcast.
None that cost the club any money. Maybe just a few nights sleep. It's
fair enough. Yeah. Well, you mentioned Dublin. Actually, it popped into my head there, dude. You would have been under Paul Beelan then, is that right?
Yeah.
What was that like?
So that was probably. Yeah, it was good. It was like baptism of fire. So the year before that, maybe the 2 years before that, I was in with Pat Flanagan.
Oh yeah.
And I was in first year of college, and then my second year in college was Paul Beelan's time. Now he didn't last too long. He didn't set the world alight or anything. But it was tough enough for him. Now I have to say, we're Division 1 in the league. We're off to a tough start there straight away. But that was very rough. Our first game was in Cork, and we got beaten by 6 or 7 points, and the next game was against Dublin, and the next game was against Mayo. Now we had a couple of home matches in Cusack Park, but it didn't necessarily matter. We were well beaten in nearly all accounts. But there was Paul Beelan's one in 100 year in Mullingar. But
were you the jawbreak incident against Armagh? Is that what am I?
Yeah, that was the
I don't know why
So
this.
we
I
played
remember
Loud.
that. Yeah, there was two of you
Yeah, it was me.
injured. You and someone
Me.
else got badly injured that season. I can't remember who the other one
Who
was.
else? Alan Toffey hurt himself, but he was also
Alan,
he was a
Alan
sub, but-
Giles.
Alan Giles.
Alan
So
Giles,
he
yeah.
tore his hamstring nearly off
Yeah.
the bone the
Yeah.
year before. So
The year before,
against
okay.
Cork in that first game below
Yeah.
Cork Rin. But so we had lost to Louth in the first round in Mullingar. A game that we had thought that we were going to win, and we had a game booked against Armagh the following Saturday in Mullingar, kind of behind closed doors as a challenge for round 2 of Leinster. But we're off to a flying start. Like morale was quite low after being beaten the week before, but like personally, I was having a good enough first 15 minutes, but the lad I was marking thought otherwise and went up for a ball. He absolutely poleaxed me. Like he just came across and nose went, but it was my eye socket as well, my nose and my eye socket. So I remember being on my knees and blood just gushing out. But our physio at the time, Chris Coombs, came out and was like on hands and knees beside me. And he was like, "It's not too bad." And I was like, "Are you sure? This is a lot of blood, Chris?"
Yeah.
And like a bit of a melee broke out then while I was on the ground, but Chris was like, "We'll get you off the pitch here." So I was kind of comforted in the fact that Chris said it's not too bad. And I got into the dugout then, and Kieran Gavin was like, "Holy Jesus, dude, what the fuck?" And I was like, looked at Chris. I was like, "What the Chris?" And then I was walking down down the lane down to the dressing room. I was going straight to the hospital, and your man Hanley was over the hurlers. At the start of the year, he was asking me to play with the hurlers, and like I was walking, I could hardly see. My eyes were watered. There was blood everywhere. And he came up and he was like, "Jesus, David, are you all right?" And I said, I don't know. I didn't have even a mirror to look in. And he said, "You might be ruled out of football now. You could still play hurling. You could stick a helmet on." So this is June. I was thinking, fuck, I can't. Football, I was coming to terms with not been playing football for the rest of the summer. But I went to Tullamore and then they sent me straight to James. And so I was operated on the following morning and 2 steel rods. And that was it. That was it for a couple of weeks. So
you know who it was who hit you?
I don't, but David Duffy does because he hopped off him straight away. he started the whole league. But it was a bit ridiculous having that game. Could have been easily called off, but I suppose we were trying to build momentum again and get us back in winning ways for the knockout or for the back door, but it didn't happen. I think we played Cav and then 2 weeks later we were beaten and that was the summer over. So
I always remember when I heard the name. I remember some of the lads saying to me, "Geez, there was an awful batter in that game." Like word kind of spread that something had happened, and then eventually I think it was your name that came out. So
no need for it in a challenge game, but like, shortened my day. Surely anyway. But there's no need for it. But sure, look, these things happen.
Yeah, these things happen. Yeah, well, it wasn't too bad. At least Chris Coombs said it wasn't too bad. That's the main thing. So
but he wouldn't be known for telling the truth anyway, Chris. But
well, after about to fight of it and get someone to say that to him, just let him know he's not telling the truth.
Well, he's a physio in Tullamore. He's like, and he's a lecturer in AIT now. So he's he's well equipped. He's Welsh. But he moved over here a couple of years ago. But no, he's a serious operator as a physio now. But great crack to out and about and socialising.
Those Welsh lads,
pint and Paddy Ryan's.
Yeah, those Welsh rugby lads don't like giving much away. So you know what they're like. Yeah. Is there at your club then? Is there, because I ask every club this? There's a few these kind of questions that I ask at the end. But is there a stereotypical Irish lunatic that every club has that is likely to go and get sent off or cause some sort of chaos?
Are you looking at
the head down?
Most clubs have straight out just kind of gone, here's a list of people that we want to have a go at. Yeah. You're probably pointing at each other right there.
Go first.
Yeah, well, fair amount. I've had a patchy disciplinary record in Asia, to say the least. I hadn't, I things like that didn't really happen to me at home, but I suppose I've lost the cool a couple of times here, which happened. And if someone asked you in the club who that was going to be, I better put the hand up and say it was me. But it's mainly been in hurling, to be honest. We've ended up playing the hurling tournaments, and maybe the football hasn't gone well, and I've took it out on the hurling pitch with some poor unwitting fella. I'd say I played more hurling in the last few years in Asia than I have in the 5 years before that, because I played a bit of hurling with Ballinamere here and would have always played underage, but football would have came first. Rugby would have been second for a long time, and hurling I played a little bit. I won a junior with Ballinamere, but only played very occasionally, and wouldn't be known as a hurler at all. But like that out here, it's because it's 7-a-side, so if you're kind of athletic at all and you can hurl, you'll make a difference out here. But I could be the hothead you're looking for in that question. I'm not going to point the finger anywhere else.
Yeah,
we've no shortage of lunatics for the off-field department anyway. I think we need a few. Someone said to me years ago about Waterford, and they were talking about like how every team needs a couple of lunatics, but then they need teachers and doctors and these able kind of characters to kind of keep the team all together. But he said that Waterford hurling team just had all lunatics, and that's why they never. Exactly. That's why they never really promised to win as much as they promised. But yeah, we have absolutely no shortage of mad lads who can do their best, give their best performances off the pitch. I don't know if we want to name names, but
I don't have to. It's grand. I'll just tick you off. Tick you off, and I'll get it.
You can tick me off.
Yeah, lovely. Yeah. Do you have a?
I could have given you a shorter answer. I could have just said my name there and left it at that.
I don't know. We want the info as well. You know yourself. Have you got a club karaoke song on a night out?
We do.
We cracking ones from different clubs. So
it just tends to be his. It was his party piece. He sings that Ronan Keating, you say it best. You say nothing at all. But every kind of club outing we have, this comes on and the whole club just takes. It's kind of started as the South Asian Games in Hanoi, and we had 50 of us in a pub on the Sunday, the day after, and all belting out this song after drinking for the day, and now it's become a bit of an anthem for us.
Okay, you hear the glass in the spoon. Anytime you're out, you hear the glass in the spoon. You just know Jura's up on a stool somewhere, hushing everyone to get this thing going. Because we were in Manila that time, Niall, after we played Manila, that they were like presenting us with the trophy or whatever. And Jura just took off singing, and there was no need for it at all. The Manila lads were like, Jesus, right, that's their national anthem. It's a bit strange, but sang the whole thing right until the end. It wasn't just the first chorus and verse. Wow. It was just from start to finish. But found having to learn the words as soon as I got here. I was like, I actually don't know the entire song, so I had to start learning these when we went out. But
that's dedication and commitment. Now you can't argue with that man. Now, in fairness to him. So no. I should probably ask you as well. I suppose you could probably answer this for your own club or county or for Thailand. Niall, the toughest team you've ever faced in your life?
Lucky enough to play against a lot of good teams. I suppose when Dora won it in 2017, I was away, and in 2018 we a bit of a, I suppose it was a stepping stone for a lot of lads, and we got to play senior, and we played against Road, and Road just completely annihilated us. And I don't know if maybe Dora that year hadn't given the commitment that they had the year previous, and with a dual club it's very hard to ask because there's a lot of players who maybe prefer hurling as well, and you can't blame people for that. That's their first sport. I'd say the toughest, I remember in the Leinster in minor, we got to the final, and we played Meath in the final, and Shane O'Rourke was playing for Meath and a few others, and they were just an exceptional minor team. They didn't Roscommon won the minor that year, but that was probably the toughest at that stage, where you go, geez, this team we really underperformed on the day, but they just kicked some scores in that day that'll be dream stuff.
Okay, I don't accept any meat on this. So
no, I've come across a lot of good teams where you end up on the wrong side of the results. Yeah. You're breaking down all the heartbreak I've had over the years there, Jason.
Yeah. As a therapy session, just nice to get it out, and
maybe I get it off my chest and I'll feel a bit better. But I've lost plenty of finals over the years. It's hard to pick up one out of the hurt locker.
That's fair enough. Yes, and dude, what about you?
Christ, I don't know. Well, overall, I played Tyrone up in Oma was an experience that I remember. Okay. Christ, very fondly. I thought at the first 5 minutes I caught the throw up, but I was chasing Colin Kavanagh for the next 30 minutes, and then I was subbed at half time. So
right.
But club, it's very hard to look past St. Lomans, with Hess and Sherry. Yeah. So say 3 years ago before Paul went to Dubai. But like they're still a force to be reckoned with. They're still producing lads there. But like those 3 or 4 years ago, the Lomans they were incredible. You know, like it's nearly now they have a lot of very talented forwards, but like just who do you get to Mark Esland, you know? He's just a fantastic footballer. He's just so strong, both feet, and you're just rotating backs on him constantly, you know, like it's just give that lad a break and put another lad in there for a few minutes. But yeah, I would say club wise, I'd say Lomans would be head and shoulders above anything else.
Yeah, they're even still producing players. I think Fola got his debut against Mayo there last week, I think, as well. So
I seen him come on, did very well. Like, and he's a unit too, isn't he? He's a bit
that catch in midfield. Nobody acknowledged it. There was like an AFL catch.
Yeah, but who was doing analysis? Was it I don't know? Brought it back and said like we're just going to have to say that was a great catch because he wasn't long on the pitch, like you know, and then he went a couple of strides up, but not that. No, he's a tank too. But like they have a lot of players. There's Sam McCartan, I think I see also there as another young lad. Yeah, I think he started last week, didn't he? But he's another big fella too. So you know, you take that off. Yeah, like they're big on the screen for inter-county. You know what they're going to be like when you go back to club level or in Cusack Park. They're nearly twice as big. You know. Yeah. But,
I think he's starting today as well strong. Against Down with the big ones to stay up in some way against Down, isn't it? Yeah, I think Sam is starting.
The Boydu yesterday.
Oh yeah, he's all set for them, I presume.
He's all set. Boydu, I tell you, he's the coolest customer you're ever going to come across. Our intermediate final was it 2015 or 16, the year that we won, and we went up senior. Yeah, for the first time in years. But Boydu came 15 minutes late and without his football boots, and kicked the winner as such. You know, like it was draw game, and then I got a point, and Boydu got it. Like he kicked that point. They weren't even his boots. You know, like it's just not a care in the world. He strolled in and sat down and talked out and got man to match that day. You know, that's the character you're dealing with. But
I'd love to get him on at some point as well, but I'd say he's probably fed up of because RT haven't doing stuff. But he's been on Everton at this stage. I'd say he's probably bored of talking to people at this stage. He just wants to kick football.
He might have a whole lot to say after all. I'm after telling about you there now. But
I'll bring him on. I'll just have a list of questions to say. Boy,
may have to come on and defend himself.
Yeah, boy, this is what Dude said about you. Now, would you like to have any comeback against any of these? So,
well, I'd like to hear that as well because I'm sure there's a lot of dirt on Dude that we'd like to. If you could broadcast that, we can make sure it sells around the world.
Okay, I'll have to have a look at that. Yeah. No, I'll have to ask as well, since you mentioned rugby as one of your sports. Anton sort of unleashed an unusual one on the GAA world when he said that he was considered for Leinster, and only managerial issues with Offaly at the time stopped him from going to, with I think up to like play alongside Gervin Dempsey and then with Leinster. Did you know anything about that? Or
I didn't know. I remember him playing with Eden Derry, all right, but he would have been a few years below me, so we wouldn't have come across each other at underage. But yeah, I played for years with Tullamore. But yeah, I wasn't surprised because he's such an athlete that he could fit in, even if he wasn't the most natural rugby player. Yeah. You know, these academies are always looking for someone who has that raw talent that, you know, the rest of the rugby skills you can bring to it. And you see, you know, Anton, you know, it'd be strange to see if he kept that going and then pursued a career in rugby, what could have happened. You know, but and I suppose you could say that about a lot of lads, you know, inter-county players. I mean, how many of them have, you know, got trials with soccer teams or played rugby? But, you know, at the end of the day, it comes down to what lads love doing. And, you know, Anton, coming from a club like Road, all you want to do is play for Road and play for Offaly. So I'm sure he would have had success in whatever sport he decided to turn his hand to, the same as a lot of lads. But yeah, it would have been interesting to see. You know, I think I said this to Dude before. It'd be nice to have two goes at things where you could decide, you know, from a young age, I'm going to pursue rugby for this young year. I'm going to pursue hurling and see how that could have turned out if you gave everything rather than putting it all in one pot. But unfortunately, we only get one crack at it.
Yeah, he texted me a photo of someone had doctored him into the photo of the Leinster rugby team. And put his head on someone. And I was like, oh, I'm so using that. And he said, no, you're not using it. And he deleted it straight away. He wouldn't let me use it. So
you get away with very little.
Yeah, I was saying...
I've seen a few doctored photos of Dude as well. You know, there's one where he kicked the ball and he jumped up real high, and then there turned out to be a whole series of him jumping up on horses and jumping over.
Neil Kelly in our club. He hasn't played now in like a good few years. Another guy that's very relaxed, but like I don't know, whatever way I finished up when I take it free, like you turn me sideways, it looks like I'm on the back of a horse, and he has me back. He's just like he's waiting for it. But there's been 6 or 7 that have been circulating now in groups and on Facebook and stuff. But he's a genius at Photoshop. But like I said, you don't get away with much now these days.
Love it. Yeah, that's class. Yeah. There's a couple of last questions, and then there's a few quick fire ones I'll ask you because I don't want to keep you all day. But it's good crack, all right. Have you done your homework either being introduced Thailand to Father Ted?
Yeah. Oh, we have. Yeah.
Oh, Christ.
Good. Yeah. That's good.
Even my girlfriend is Thai now. She's well versed in some of the stuff in Father Ted. There's a pub called Father Ted's down in Hua Hin, which is a beach town a couple of hours.
Yeah.
And they're a kind of a partner, not really like when we go down, we often go down there for a weekend and we do a training kind of camp in the hotel with a pitch, and then we go in there for the Saturday, and Dave Long down there looks after us really well. So yeah, but it's gas to have Father Ted's pub.
That's brilliant. I was in Hua Hin actually. Yeah, I didn't. That was a long time ago now. It was over 10 years ago, I'd say. But I didn't know there was a Father Ted pub. That's the second team now in 2 days that has a Father Ted pub. I didn't.
Might have existed back then.
Yeah.
The first time I walked into it, there was a pictures of P. Egan's up, and they have like a fake fireplace. It's a TV, but me and my girlfriend sat down, and I took a picture of her with her food and her drink or whatever, and I like zoomed in on the background, and I was like, that's in Moat, and got talking to Dave Long then, because I wasn't here long at the time. He didn't know I was a part of Thailand GAA, but like it's just small world. He was like, that's he didn't even know where it was from himself. He just had it up there. He was like, oh, it is from Moat, is it? All right.
Yeah. I probably should have said to you actually. I never said to you the start. My mother's side are all McCormick's and Streamstown. Seamus is my uncle. You probably know him.
I do. The referee.
Yeah.
I know him well. Mighty referee.
Man, I
actually we played Rosemount a few years ago in a challenge when I was home in 2018, and we played Rosemount. It was I was only nearly off the plane, and of course the first thing lads wanted to do is we go for a few pints, and I was like, well, we're playing a match tomorrow. He's like, it's only a challenge match. So we turned up to play Rosemount on the Sunday morning, but Seamus was reffing, and I know Seamus well because my father trained St. Joseph's, and I don't know whether Seamus was just on the committee or if he was part of the selectors, but they won it. I think that was 2014. But yeah, fierce nice man, but he's always he's kind of a no nonsense ref. He's not going to be sprinting up and down the length of the field now, but he's but he's a fierce nice fella, and huge GA man.
Yeah, I often say I've never said it to Seamus, but I say it to other people. I was like, I do yard duty in school the same way my uncle referees, which is between the 265s, so, just between the 2 yards, I can see everything either side. I might be going one way. I do what my uncle does, just curly finger, and just point to where I need everyone to go. So yeah, that's brilliant. Yeah, good that you know, all right. Anyway,
he claims that I don't know. Some of the frees now is like you couldn't see it if you were beside it. Never mind if you were that far away. But Seamus must have better eyesight than anyone in Westmeath if he's able to do it from that far away.
I'll have to ring him after and just ask him. Yeah.
Sometimes you think he didn't have any eyesight at all. Then the head would be taken off. You'd be like, Seamus, what's happening here? He was like, David, let's slip now and let's carry on. But he's a great friend of my father's now. During the game, my dad would just be shouting abuse at him just for the crack. Yeah. But Seamus would be tunnel visioned. He'd be watching the game. But he'd hear my old lad shouting, Porrig, will you shut the fuck up? Because Seamus would be like, come on, referee. And he'd be just sick of it. He'd be like, Rosemount are well known for getting stuck into the referees. But when he hears Porrig, you piped out.
Yeah, that's brilliant. Yeah, because I've asked a couple of you because Barry Kelly came on. Barry's my neighbour here, and I was asking about Seamus as well. And Niall Ward was on with Barry, and Bangy Gunning was on as well. Like it was good old crack with the referees.
Good old crack,
but yeah, I was asking Seamus.
Thankless job.
Yeah, it really is. Yeah, it's
very hard to get people into refereeing, and I don't blame them because I'm sure I've given enough abuse over the years myself. Yeah.
I did soccer referee.
It's very hard to get people in.
For years. I did it for a few years out in Athletic, and I was like, I'm never doing this again. Fuck that. Like under 10 matches, and you're getting more abuse off the parents than you would, from
honest to God.
Yeah, I'm not bothered anymore. So the last I'll ask you, there's a few quick fire questions, but dude, I'll put you on the spot here slightly. But the greatest GA player ever in your lifetime, who would you?
Dermot Connolly.
Okay,
Dermot Connolly.
Up a few times.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Probably no surprise there, I suppose. And Niall, what about you?
Very tight there as well. I used to love Kieran McDonald just because his style of play, but as regards the best footballer, probably is Diarmuid Connolly as well.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Kieran McDonald has come up a couple of times. I'll actually think it was Mairead and the girls who might have picked Kieran McDonald as well. So the quick fire questions then, these are as stupid as you get, but I just love asking them. They're a bit of crack. They kind of bring you a bit towards home as well. So Niall, you can choose between the Thailand Islands, Koh Phi Phi and all those, or the Aran Islands.
Oh, I think I'll go with the Thai Islands for the beach and the crack there, or the hard bet.
Good stuff, yeah. Dude, what about you?
The Thai Islands too. Yeah,
Okay.
I'd have to say.
Good stuff. Niall, this could be a very, very tough one now. The floating markets in Thailand or the Clara markets?
Oh, have to shop local there. Clara markets. You know,
My
they don't have a great
girlfriend's from
deal
Tara.
there.
She doesn't live too far away from them.
Okay.
So I don't know what I need to say.
You won't get a great deal on it. You won't get a great deal on a 20-kilo box of Daz washing powder in the floating markets here.
That's going to be the tagline for the podcast. Thailand GA.
Yeah.
A good deal on Daz washing powder.
or a stolen generator.
That too, yeah. Dude, what do you go for since the girlfriend is from Clara or around there?
Tara markets I'll go for because fireworks, 4 rockets for €20. You can't go wrong.
Brilliant, I love that one, yeah. You could go for, Niall, the temples in Thailand or a good mass down in Offaly.
Is there anything to be said for a good mass?
I think if you go for Offaly, so then, yeah.
I'll have to go for home there.
Okay, and dude, you have the Thai temples, or it's St. Thomas, I think, is in Rosemount, isn't it? The church in
St.
Rosemount.
Thomas's Church, yeah. I'd have to say my mother's very religious woman, but I've probably been to more temples than I have mass in the last while. So I go mass at home, yeah, nothing like a good sermon now.
Oh yeah, that's actually randomly. I know it's off the point, but I messaged the Myanmar Kells team because I was in Myanmar a few years ago, and they said most of because of the fighting and the war and stuff up north, the club was kind of disbanded and all the Irish left, and a lot of them went to Thailand. Have any of them ended up with you at the club?
No, but Chiang Mai would be on the border there.
Oh yeah, okay.
Yeah, just some of them were gone to Chiang Mai, but a few of them would kind of, even when they were working over there, their bank accounts and stuff would have been in Thailand because it's just things are a lot stricter over there with international travel. And some of them used to get paid in cash and then would lodge it in the bank or would come to Bangkok or places to kind of look after their money. But yeah, it's a very sticky situation there at the moment. But yeah, they had they actually bet our lads, I think, in the junior and the Asian games. Good to see small clubs like that doing well, but I think a lot of them have left now at the moment, and it's not a nice situation to be happening so close.
No, it was kicking off when I was there, but it was the tour guide that we were with. He was soundest man, but he was from the north where it was all kicking off. But now it's spread into Yangon and all the places we were as well, which is an awful pity. So it just came to me while I was thinking of it there. Said I'd ask you, but there's 2 questions left. Where'll I go first? I go Niall. I go you. This actually no, dude. I'm going to go you first. You can choose between the famous giant gold Buddha statue in Thailand or Alan Buddha Mangan.
Alan Buddha Mangan, hands down, no question.
Brilliant. Love
he
it.
talks more anyway than that Buddha in Phuket, I bet you.
It was actually when we were talking about the Westmead, who was doing the analysis for the Westmead game. It was actually Aisling O'Reilly who was doing the interviews, and it's him and Aisling doing the podcast now at the moment as well. So yeah, that's after reminding me. Niall, you can choose between the great Buddha Mangan or a giant Buddha in Thailand.
As an Offaly man, I might have to steer away from the Westmead. But I know Buddha well too. He's the sound man I know from just being in school in Kilbeggan and when I went to school in Castledown as well. So I know him and all the Castledown lads as well. But I'll stick with Thailand just to show my Offaly allegiance there.
Good, yeah. And the last one then, dude, if Westmead or Thailand?
Westmead, it's a cast straight too far from home, but yeah, Westmead.
Reluctantly, I think Westmead, yeah. Niall, Offaly or Thailand then?
Yeah, I'll have to go Offaly. I mean, I love it here. I had a great few years, but I suppose Offaly's always going to be home.
That's love it, yeah.
Unfortunately.
You're not too far from the border now yourself.
And the last couple of things then, I tried to promote the GA club gear and stuff just to, might sell a bit for people because obviously, yourselves at home, people love a good random GA jersey. So can people get it on O'Neill's or where would you find your gear?
Yeah, They would, of course.
O'Neill's, the jerseys on the site. But we've a lovely jersey, sold really well actually. I think with O'Neill's and at the last tournament, because it's just a black color. It's fairly, a lot of people
Not
like
in this heat now, let me tell you. But
no.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So
great to look at.
Pass it out. Yeah, I'll definitely pass it out. No, there's a few jerseys I've come across, all right, that are quite nice. The New South Wales one behind me there, they're celebrating 70
it looks
years.
lovely. I was looking at it there.
Yeah, they're 70 years, and in the name, then they've got all the clubs and all the previous people as well. And then I was made an honorary member of some of a club. I don't know if you played these boys before. Have you played Suzhou Aero Og from China?
We haven't played them, but we've seen them in the Asian Games.
Yeah.
But there's so many teams, and there's new teams forming all the time, which is great. I think they were talking about in Phuket here be kind of one of the next biggest cities for expats anyway, and they were trying to get something going down there. They've just set up an Aussie Rules club, and there's a few Irish lads playing for that. And I suppose in the long term it'd be great to have someone to play that you didn't need to travel for. But
yeah, that's class.
Yes, but like that, these clubs mainly start with one person who's the driving force. The same as here, one person who puts everything into it, and then to get it off the ground. So until someone is that person and can get people going, it's probably not going to happen down there or anywhere.
Yeah. That's fair enough. Yeah, that's a good sign. Look forward to Phuket. Yeah, I'll have to keep an eye out for them in a few years. So, and is there anyone you want to give a shout out to? I know this won't be going out for a couple of months with all the clubs that are now involved, as opposed to the original 7. It's now at 53. So, is there anyone you want to give a shout out to when this is going out?
No, just was friends and family at home, and the Rosemount lads. Hopefully, they're listening to this. I would have seen your championship maybe, but the boys in Clara Market as well. I'll give a shout out to them. The last time I was there, I gave a lad €40 for fireworks, and he said I'll be back, and he never came back. So that was my last purchase.
He saw you
non-purchase.
He did, yeah. Okay, so we'll have to get on to Clara Markets and see if we can find him. Niall, is there anyone you want to give a shout out to then?
Just my father Matt, and any of my family or friends, any of the Durra lads, the Baldomere lads that are listening. That's about it.
Yes. Look, lads, it's been class having you on. I'm sorry I kept you so long, but it's just good crack when you're chatting to people.
It's been great crack. It was enjoyable. Yeah, thanks for having us.
Not at all. Yes, I'll keep in touch with you on the Instagram, and I give me WhatsApp as well if you wanted. If you have any photos of the club on or off the pitch, it doesn't matter. Just for the YouTube part, I'll put up the audio, but rather than just sticking up like a nothing picture, I'd rather use pictures of the club and try and promote them a little bit. So for the next weeks and months, if you have any photos, I'm not in a rush for them now. It'll be over the summer I'll be doing it. So if you have any photos, send them on WhatsApp or whatever. I'll sort them from there, and I'll keep in touch. I'll give you a shout when this is all going out. There's
a lot of hours you put into it. So
I'm still a teacher apparently as well. So question mark over that.
They've been doing a lot of media literacy in Chapel Lizard, have they?
They have, yeah. They've been doing an awful lot. They're big fans of the podcast apparently as well, which I told them they have to be. But you'll be on the list somewhere, and I'll let you know.
Well done, fair play.
Yeah, sound.
Yeah, best of luck. It's a good what you've done there. Like you said, there's a lot of podcasts at the moment, and there's no one really tapping into that international GAA. So fair play for kind of taking it on, because it promotes us and the GAA around the world, and there is a lot going on everywhere to kind of get a bit of recognition or a bit of profile for that is very welcome. So on behalf of the club here, we're very thankful for having us on.
Not at all. No, well, sure, look, it's you guys to make it. I just sit here and listen to you talk and have the crack, and it's great for me. So yeah.
For any teachers that want to come traveling, give us a shout. We could do an extra couple.
We've come up with a good recruitment process.
Even if you're not good at football.
Yeah, we have a good recruitment process.
Especially if you're good at
football. myself and the girls, I think it's the girls in Vietnam, said there's a great recruitment process you can use, which is turn up to the airport with a crate of beer and a football or a hurl, and just exchange it for the going away ticket, and then sure they can't go there. So automatically have new members. Yeah, get them to fill out a form at the airport, and they'll be done. Yeah, that's a good recruitment.
Seize their passport.
Exactly. Yeah. Tell them you'll mind it. Yeah, but lads, look, I'll let you go, and thanks so much for giving up some of your Sunday, and hopefully when this goes out, Westmeath or Offaly, preferably Westmeath, will have won the All Ireland at that stage. So and if not,
we'll make it down and light the candles for that.
If not, we'll get Dude McCormick back in the midfield for Westmeath, and we'll be grand. So, but lads, look, I'll chat to you again soon. All right, mind yourselves. I'll keep in touch.
Perfect, awesome.
Thanks
a million.
Take it easy. Good luck, Slán.
Good luck.
Mind yourselves.
Bye, Jay.
Bye. Coming up the next day on the Loaf of Bread GAA Global, we cut into our next slice. I say a big thank you to Niall and to Dude for bringing us through life in Thailand GAA. But coming up on Monday next on the Loaf of Bread GAA podcast, it's something a little different. Next Monday I will be chatting to a man who was part of a record-breaking TV quiz show audience when he made his debut on ITV recently. But this dub also has some links to the GAA abroad in Canada and currently in the UK. Join me as I chat quizzes, GAA and much more with the amazing Dara Ennis, better known as The Menace, the newest chaser on the amazing ITV quiz show The Chase. There is even a special set of sporting quiz questions at the end, which have been made by kids from my school. Why them? I'll find out the whole story next Monday from 9 AM. I'll see you then. Find the podcast on Instagram, on Facebook, on Twitter and on TikTok. Email loafofbreadpod@gmail.com or just simply hit the follow button and spread the word of the Loaf of Bread GAA pod across the globe. Slánagi.